Now, this isn't a 1 hour long video essay about how the gaming industry as a whole is cooked, more so my overall opinion on why we are in the state that we are in with modern console gaming, and how console gaming in general is dead or at least a shell of its former self. Now, I'm of the opinion that the golden age of consoles is over, especially with Sony saying that they are now going to remove all discs from the PS6 entirely, and I find it absolutely hilarious that they've deleted the original tweet already and potentially had to cancel the PS6 entirely because most likely it was not going to include a DVD drive to begin with. This video is not about Sony's decision to eliminate discs entirely, it's more so about the overall terrible state console gaming is in right now. Like, in my opinion, the only thing modern gaming has going for it right now is friend slot games like Mecha Chameleon and Lethal Company. Friend slot is something we can pretty much all afford, and we don't have to spend $500 plus $60 just to be able to play the new Mario Party with our friends. And on top of needing to buy a console to play Mario Party, you also need to pay for an online subscription on top of that. And most likely those services suck. Like Nintendo servers, I'm pretty sure still suck to this day, the last I used them. Now, I do want to say I am mainly a PC gamer with an Overwatch addiction, but I started off as a console kid, and while I did start off as a console kid loyal to Xbox, and to this day I'm still of the opinion that the Xbox 360 won the console wars, I will say that the Xbox quality itself fell off a cliff, allowing Sony to dominate the console space entirely. Now, I'm not saying that Xbox had poor quality with video games, I'm just saying that the Xbox itself was absolutely infuriating to use after the Xbox 360. But the issues did start on the Xbox 360 simply because it's Microsoft, and I still to this day have problems with my Microsoft account. Basically, Microsoft was having me change my password like every other week, even though I knew for a fact that I entered the password correctly. And it was just annoying considering like my account in general was worth $0 because I only bought physical games. So like I didn't even care that much. And what I ended up doing is I used an exploit basically where if you take an offline account signed into player 2 and your main account signed on in player 1, you can skip the forgot password screen, and by signing the second player out of that controller, it will immediately force your main account to go online, assuming like, oh, the only thing preventing you from going online was the fact that you also had an offline profile signed in, so you're good to go online, and it forced me online without having to input my password. The fact I had to do this literally every time I wanted to play online is crazy because I am not changing my password every other time just to play Xbox 360. It just gets annoying after like the third time. Like, just let me play the game. It's not that serious. It's just a password. No one's going to be going after my $0 Xbox 360 account. Now, the Xbox One, which I did eventually get, was overall pretty boring. I mainly played Halo 5, which launched in a terrible state. Like, I remember this vividly. It took them like a year to add Infection to Halo. That's like shipping Halo without Master Chief, which I'm pretty sure they wanted to do in the first place. It's fine to take a week or two to add Infection, but nearly a year after is just crazy. And all this ultimately resulted in me moving on from Halo 5 after I felt like I played enough of Halo 5, moving on to Overwatch, which I stayed with for a couple months, only to immediately switch to the PC version in Season 3 of Overwatch back in 2016. And since I moved to PC to play Overwatch, I have never looked back to the consoles, and when I have looked back to consoles, it was only the Xbox 360, PS3, or Nintendo Switch, because anything past that is just update, charge the controller, buy a new controller, because the Xbox 360 controller is so wildly different for the Xbox One that we cannot possibly allow you to use the Xbox 360 controller on the Xbox One, because that would just be, we're doing you a favor by not letting you do that. Console gaming was just overpriced and not worth it anymore compared to the simplicity of PC gaming. I boot up Steam and I say I want to play this game, and Steam says yes, king. If I want to do the same thing on console, I need to download the entire game, which is going to take 30 hours because devs don't know how to compress their games anymore. Leaving my Xbox One on overnight was just a common occurrence. Now, PC has this too, don't get me wrong, but I expect it with a PC. Like, DVD drives died a lot faster in the PC space than it did on the Xbox One and PlayStations, so I was already used to downloading games digitally on PC. Additionally, the PC is most likely your fastest downloader in the house, because Xbox and PlayStation always just seemed to be a lot slower, and sometimes the downloads just failed for no reason. And it was like there's nothing you can do other than restarting the entire download from scratch, which really hurt every time you had to do it. I remember when Steam didn't download a game like once or twice, but I remember this happening constantly on the Xbox One multiple times. Now, the PlayStation was probably better at this, which is probably why they started single-handedly winning the console wars, without Xbox even existing in the conversation. But the issue with PlayStation is that it's Sony. No more physical discs for you peasants. We need more money because our shareholders want another yacht. No more digital movies that you paid for either because we couldn't be bothered to refund you after our license to those movies expired. Now, say what you want about Xbox, but Xbox has stated that a disc is a permanent digital copy for you to own in light of this whole Sony controversy. My goat Xbox is still in that shell of its former self somewhere. I knew it. And the Nintendo Switch 2 is struggling with the sales as far as I know because no one wants to buy a slightly more powerful Switch for $200 more for seemingly no reason. Like, this isn't even an OLED screen. Why is it more money? And it's not tariffs because the CEO of America, I'm pretty sure, said as much. Like, tariffs were not considered in the pricing of the Nintendo Switch 2. So the main thing I'm saying is that it's just an overall increase in console prices because they no longer want to sell consoles at a loss. And to me, this tells me that just selling consoles at a loss is over. Like, the PS5 is $600 with minimal sales going on, and the Switch 2 is priced at $100 less than the PS5. Now I hear you saying that it's actually $150 less than the PS5. But I wholeheartedly disagree because the entire point of the 450 Switch 2 is to make the version with Mario Kart way more attractive because buying it separately costs $80. Why does Mario Kart even cost $80? Why? And it also seems like Nintendo doesn't even know why Mario Kart World is $80 and Donkey Kong Bonanza was $70. Like, they don't even know what they're doing with their own pricing strategy. And if I recall correctly, the average Switch 2 owner currently only owns about 2.1 games or something along those lines. Like, in my opinion, console manufacturers are being overly greedy with the prices, with the exception of Xbox, because Xbox is barely alive right now, so it's like, why even bother pricing our consoles? Like, just please buy it. And a Sony exec said the PS6 is most likely not going to be sold at a significant loss, which selling consoles at a loss was the main benefit of a console, is that they were cheaper to get people into the ecosystem so that they would buy more games because you get them into the ecosystem for cheap and then you lock them in with digital games that are pretty much pure profit. And if they're not going to be sold at a significant loss, theoretically the PS6 will be sold at about $1,000, which I can build a pretty mean computer for $1,000. Like, it will have Steam on it, which will eventually get Sony exclusives anyway. I put together a little part list for a little over $1,000, and yes, like, potentially the PS6 would be more powerful than this, but keep in mind you could probably upgrade this along the line, and let's say you spend $1,200 on it, that's eventually going to get you more use than a PS6 that's going to be outdated for sure after they announce the PS7. It's like the PC, my computer is pretty old. Like, all the parts are like released in 2019, I'm pretty sure, and it's still kicking to this day. And I'm thinking of just updating the graphics card, potentially with also updating the CPU, because my entire PC is pretty good. I just need to update the CPU to be a little bit stronger and the GPU to be a little bit stronger, because from the get-go, I spec'd my PC to have a really good power supply so that I could update easier in the future. And the only thing you can really update on a console is the storage, which the storage is never enough on the base console. Like, they expect you to buy more storage, and I'm pretty sure it's all overpriced compared to like the same PC equivalent. If you're putting $1,000 into an entertainment machine, then why don't you just do that with a PC? Because a PC can do gaming, work, and YouTube after signing in just once, and you don't have to do many system updates. PC gaming is not perfect, mainly because Windows insists on making a new operating system every couple of years, because instead of updating Windows 10 forever, they want to make a new terrible operating system. And I'm still on Windows 10 because I know for some reason AMD based performance still sucks on Windows 11 to this day, as far as I know. But I do plan to jump from Windows 10 to SteamOS here soon, Maybe I upload a video on how that goes because I've never gone a day in my life without Windows. I did dabble with Linux for a little bit, but I immediately reverted back. Basically, the point I'm trying to say is that game companies are just getting greedier and greedier. Steam knows what's up. They're not going to release some big powerhouse console that needs to be able to run any game that could possibly run on it, because they know only a handful of people on Steam actually plays those really demanding titles. With the PS6, the Xbox One X, 360 XD Super, and Nintendo Switch 2 is all of them need to be powerful enough to run all the games that can ever be played on that specific console. The game companies need to become greedier and greedier because they cannot afford not to. The fact that a PS5 is currently cheaper than a Steam machine currently is amazing, but they need to make that money back somewhere, and I'm not going to support it. I am thinking of picking up a PS5 because it does seem like a pretty good deal right now considering the prices of all these hardwares, like I'm pretty sure they're selling a PS5 at a loss, and it is a pretty good value for your money. And they can't get rid of physical discs, I'm pretty sure, for the PS5. But they're becoming greedier and greedier because they have to be, and it's not my job to protect them from their bad decisions. A good decision would be to stop releasing so many consoles and just keep the PS5 with last-gen hardware. Games are high quality enough. You shouldn't be betting millions in case the game flops because you're basically just gambling at that point, which immediately came back to bite them with Concord. They invested big and lost it all because literally no one wanted Concord, showing me that they actually don't have any idea who their target audience was for that game. Fortnite and Overwatch are so popular because they're such good canvases for collaborations. Like you got the My Hero Academia collaborations for both of them, and then you got like some little collaborations like Optimus Prime, and then you also got like the Lethal Company collaboration with Fortnite. Like anything you can think of can be in Fortnite basically. Concord was trying to be Overwatch and Call of Duty at the same time and released at a full $60. Concord should have been free to play from the get-go, which is why I feel game companies in general don't know what they're doing anymore other than bigger budget equals more sales. And removing physical discs is their way of covering for their stupid financial decisions. I'm not going to pay the price for a game company to make stupid decisions. I saw that Xbox has a $400 million budget for the new Gears of War game, meaning the game needs to sell 6 to 8 million copies to break even. Xbox, you can't even sell your own consoles at Costco right now because no one is buying them. What are you thinking putting $400 million into Gears of War? So console gaming is dead in my opinion, and Steam is the only thing in my opinion keeping gaming in general alive right now, along with FriendSwap games, because FriendSwap is $10, which I'm ultimately going to get more enjoyment out of that per dollar compared to the new Gears of War, Call of Duty, Battlefield clone for the 50th time in a row at $70 a piece. Like, I don't care about the same first-person shooter clone. I'm just gonna spend $6 on Mecha Chameleon and call it a day. But alright, yep, over. I've been Konu with Rest in IP.